Okay, new angle, and I deleted some stuff, so now hopefully I'll be able to like finish this whole thing. Yeah. Okay, so now we get to Ren Tao, who sees the last fight for the entrance to the shaman fight where he killed Chrome. He gets told that he attacks first because of fear for his enemy's strength and must learn to accept their strength. Ren feels so much shame for his evil deeds and for Yo giving up the shaman fight for him. Ren is thankful to Yo for helping revive him. Through this, he was able to overcome one of his most evil deeds, which was killing Chrome, the one of like his officiant, to enter the shaman fight. So this won't haunt him anymore, and he made peace with himself. And it was also interesting the reason why Ren fell into like this like dire situation where he was about to die was because he realized that he was fighting Necrom, who was Chrome's brother, and Chrome was the one he killed. And in that split second, they used that emotion in him, which was his weakness because he had changed. He wasn't like this mindless killing machine anymore. So yeah. Horo is fighting this block guy and Bill, and they were attacking the Iceman and had way more mana. So this is a new fight, right? But even a gopher can outwit a lion using underground tunnels, using the environment to his advantage. Even though the strongest land animal cannot swim or fly, everyone has their capabilities and needs to use their strengths to their advantage. So that's what we learned there. And then Red Seb realizes that his late father is possessing his sister in the golem as a spirit, and all he cares about is this golem, because when he died, that's all that was on his mind. So that's what he carried on in his spirit from, and he's not even aware that he's dead. Okay, yeah. So turns out Joko and his friends killed Red Seb's father. That was a plot twist, yeah. Didn't know they were connected like that, you know. So Yo is talking to Red Seb and telling him that revenge begets nothing. And by his logic, anyone who hurt you can hurt you back. That would make him a target for Yo, since he killed Joko and Joko is important to Yo. So by Red Seb's logic, because he hurt Joko and killed him, or yeah, like put him in that death mode, you know, which it wasn't like too bad of a thing because in that mode he was able to get stronger and stuff. But by that logic, that would allow Yo to hurt Red Seb or anybody he loves, you know, for revenge. And yeah, this logic fails everyone. Even after killing Joko, Seiram's emotions didn't come back. So, like, not only is revenge pointless, it also doesn't even fulfill the desire or the desired outcome. Like, at the end, Joko came back stronger from the afterlife as he was in between the two worlds. Yo says, in a society there are rules we are bound by. If there were none, no one can protect you. It's eat or be eaten. What's most important is the heart. Doing right by your hearts is what Yo is teaching or preaching. Hao says he never had a friend, but maybe Matamune, the cat, was his only friend. The flashbacks like tear me up. Oh my god. So like the best. They're so misunderstood, which is why I love cats, because I've always been misunderstood as well, and that's why I feel like I have this connection to cats, you know. But I also have like dog traits. I think everybody has both, but yeah. Anyways, so yeah, the flashbacks tear me up because I love cats, and yeah, reminds me of them. So shamans fight for their people, loved ones, for whatever they want to protect. Red Seb's dad had the same idea once, you know, he wanted to create the golem to protect his children, you know. So Joko says that dying isn't our greatest fear, it's losing hope and succumbing to the darkness. There are those of us who don't fear death because they have given up on life altogether. And that's not real bravery. Joko says he cannot undo his past, but he can try and help Redzep's dad to free his trapped soul. So that was a very powerful saying, like that. I sometimes find myself in that mode where I'm like, I don't give a shit anymore. No fucks given. None whatsoever. But it's not, like, there's a difference between not caring and being, like, being indifferent and not caring anymore, or still having values and meaning, but, like, fight, like, I don't know, fighting for them, not silently, but with conviction and without, like, negativity inside you, you know? Like, being zen and being indifferent and caring about nothing are two different things, you know? They might look the same on the outside, but the energy that it's driven, like, derived from is completely different. And it shows as well on the outside. So trapped souls have unfinished business in this world, right? And that's why they remain there in this in-between state, in the limbo. So Manta's name is actually Mantamune, which is so similar to Matamune, and they have other similarities like their height and all, but he isn't actually the reincarnated. Yeah, there was something like, is he the reincarnated soul of Matamune? But no, their characters are so different as well, so I don't think so. But yeah, that's why maybe Yo had a liking to Manta as well, because he reminded him of Matamune. So Manta narrates that everyone in the end has their own ordeals to deal with, but in the end everyone is there for each other, and they're to rely on each other, even if we have our own personal challenges. So the shaman fight is only there to reduce the number of victors, because victors are ultimately the ones that decide what is right and wrong, which, you know, it's the same thing as saying victors write history, you know. So it's very important to those who lost in the past, like whether it's wars or whatever, that they also have their voices heard in whatever form, whether it's art or, you know. So Yo wanted to negotiate to rejoin the shaman fight with the Ixtlas. So this Lucist guy shows up, who founded the Ixtlas actually, and supports Yo on Hao's orders, because Yo wants Hao wants Yo to, like, stick around and become strong. But Yo won't let Lucist kill Marco. It's not his style. So yeah, Marco and Lucist, they were like fighting, you know. Tsuku Mogami is when your affection of your belongings gets transferred onto them and they take on a spirit form, which is, now we realize that the angels that the Ixtlas had were actually cars or, like, other materials that the owners really cherished, and their love for them is what, you know, made them come to life, which is very interesting, that concept. I mean, it's a proper actual concept in Japanese culture. Okay, so also the type of clothes you wear can enhance your power because it puts you in that state of mind. Yeah, so in German we say Kleider machen Leute, and I don't know if there's an English pendant or, like, parallel saying, analog saying, but yeah, it's totally true. So if you want to be in, like, maybe that's why I love costumes so much, and just, you know, putting on a different fit to invigorate you or ignite something in you, you know, that's hidden. Yeah. So turns out the Iron Maiden isn't actually a holy girl, but they just groomed her to be one. Okay, grooming sounds bad, but they just, you know, like, raised her to think that she is holy. And Hao has seen many eras, and in every single one there hasn't been a peaceful moment in history. Ergo, humans love killing each other. That's what his outcome was. Realization, deduction. And they will repeat this and senseless killings over and over again. It's really baffling how people dying has become a sport. I think this is me saying this, yeah. And how people in power feel comfortable with this and causing it without so much as a blink of an eye. Yeah, like I'm referring to this world. It's completely sick. Yeah, I need to drink. I can do this. Okay. So, Yo has to go through hell to become stronger. Sanjiva is the first gate where murderers have to experience killing each other over and over again. And by the way, the Oni leads him there and finally found like a purpose for him that's meaningful or something. And I don't remember who allowed him. I think it was Matamune or something to allow them like to restart their life. And at the end, he also said, "Please take care of mommy," which is so cute. Which he was referring to Anna. Yeah. So Yo said that some people will praise and some people criticize you for the same thing. People's judgments depends on the value system they grew up with. So we cannot divide things up into good and evil. It depends on the viewpoint. The Gandhara warriors, with Lady Sati as the head princess, their spiel is to never kill. They are always neutral. That's how they remain cool and collected, no matter what happens. It's all part of a greater plan, I suppose. They use mental attacks so nothing is materialized, and they use their minds to accomplish their goals. The power of the mind is tested here. And they each have to go through their own hell, and if they make it out, they will become stronger. But if they die, they will disappear and lose everything. I don't even think they will have a life anywhere. They would just, disappear into thin air, into nothingness, just similarly like in Death Note. So, Lyserg has to fight this demon in hell that is embodying his hate. The hate that he experienced when he had to see his parents get killed. Joko's guide is helping Lyserg, what was his name, Abacho or something, and saying that anyone has the ability to make themselves happy just through thoughts alone. Those are the strongest people with the strongest souls. Completely unfazed by external factors and events, they can stay strong in their hearts. Yeah, I thought that was very powerful because, like I said before, I think there are some people who just have that ability to, be happy and no matter what, you know what I mean? They understand that everything is not that serious, but they can just be happy, I guess, on their own terms. So now we turn to Peyote. He turned on all of his teammates, Hao's minions. He said Hao just sees them as pawns. Peyote exposed Hao's ability to read minds. Their plan worked well. I think it was Omayada, some company chief, which is Mantamune's father, actually. Yeah, so so that Hao's minions were kind of defeated and killed by their own. And then Hao has this monologue, right? About how the greatest plans can be undone. The greatest minds can be snuffed out, and some are just born lucky, never experiencing hardship of any kind. So all of it doesn't really matter. This life, this earth, everything in it. His hatred and contempt for humanity is ever growing. All his resurrections confirmed his beliefs. Yeah, I guess he has a point, Some people just were born under a lucky star and never had to go through anything crazy, and others were just dealt really bad cards. So why, asking these questions is legit, it's legitimate. Why do some get to live such easy lives and others terrible lives, So fighting humans is the toughest trial that a shaman will encounter. They are weapons without souls. Stresses from greed an absurd cycle so far from ideal. Yeah, so fighting humans is really hard for a shaman because sometimes they're just weapons without souls, they just want to destroy. And they have stresses from greed and, perpetuate this absurd cycle, which is so completely far from ideal. In some ways, it's way worse than fighting Hao. Yeah. I don't remember who narrated that part, but yeah, I totally agree. So Hao's incredible power against the Umayyad ship and fighters is shown. And yeah, before, like, the Umayyad humans, they never interfered in the shaman fight until this day, and that was because of Yo, who integrated Mantamune, who, confided in his dad that this is what's going on, this is where he's going, and then they had to all move to this underground, under the sea world, Mu, I think it was called. And yeah, so they were all fighting that ship, and Hao's power was like on display for everyone to see, and they were all amazed. And everyone is impressed except Yo, who notices that this power stems from sadness. So instead of being impressed, he felt sorry for him. Hao has been in hell for 900 years, but the other 100 years he lived as a human were worse. And if those hadn't been, Hao wouldn't have turned into what he has become. And I don't know, I get teary-eyed when I think about that, because like the fact that life on Earth can be like hell for some, even worse than an actual hell, like in this story. Like 100 years of life on Earth was worse to Hao than 900 years in actual hell, where he had to, like, I don't know, it's just so sad because it's so true. Like, some people have to live through really hard and tough, difficult hardships. Yeah. So Marco and Lucas fight to the death so the others can advance. Yeah. Lucas wants to protect Hao, and Marco is up against him, and they are so determined that one of them is definitely gonna die, and they cannot be stopped because that is their true wish, to see things till the end. And so the others must respect that, is what Yo says, and they already made up their mind, so you can't undermine somebody's sovereignty and autonomy, is the main idea here. So Lucas was spared by Hao, and Hao, this is Lucas' story. He was actually part of the X-Laws, but when fighting Hao, he lost. And instead of killing Lucas, Hao lets him go and lets him live. He was spared. And then Hao asks Lucas what justice he is fighting for. Then explains that everyone in Hao's team has their own set of rules for justice, or sense for justice. But because it wasn't aligned with the norm that most people agree on, they were shunned and chastised and excluded from society. And they were made to be loners. Then Hao takes in Lucas and allows him to live by his sense of justice without judgment. And then Hao asked, who gets to even decide what justice truly is and which one is right? And that's like a serious question. So Marco talks about how he only learned of love, and the first time he knew of parental unconditional love was when Lucas took him in after Marco's parents died. And if he hadn't, who knows what he would have become. You can only know what love is when you have received it first. Another part that made me cry. My nose is getting red right now. That's what happens. Yeah. That was very sweet, and it's very true, So that made me also think, even when I go through my most depressive episodes or moments, what can heal you? And it's super hard to do to get out of it, but just think of how you can be of aid to somebody else who's going through something worse or similar, and then out of that you can like pick yourself up and also someone else, and yeah, or like fight for a greater cause, or you know, work for a greater cause, you know, that's bigger than yourself, and maybe also is related to the issues that you are going through. Yeah, just making somebody else's day, or a group of people, or what have you, a little bit better, because you know what they're going through. Okay. So, by the way, they all gave up. Oh yeah, they all gave up the shaman fight so that Hao would progress or proceed and win the shaman fight by default, because they knew they wouldn't be able to be a match to him. And they want to take on the patch members one by one while Hao is asleep to connect with the Great Spirit. And they think they have a better fighting chance than trying to defeat Hao. So Yo cheers Ryu up, who thinks he is the weakest and disappointed the others in the last battle. And Yo says that he needs to leave what's behind and focus on what's ahead. Otherwise he won't improve, and the past doesn't dictate the future. Also, yeah, I have some beef with that as well, because I sometimes stay stuck in the past as well. But I had this especially when I had my driving lessons, and my instructor was like, just forget what happened before, focus on the next thing, because if you dwell in the past, you're gonna keep on making mistakes and, you know, endanger yourself and others. So, also, Yo is soothing Lyserg in his battle at Gate 2 by saying not to get worked up, otherwise his moves will be easier to predict by the enemy, who is Blonde. And Blonde was Lyserg's efficient. Yeah, and as Yo beats Radim notices Yo's power doesn't stem from sadness or anger, which is very, very interesting. And you always have these two types of people. The ones that derive their strength from negativity, a source of negativity, and others from positivity or love. Yeah. So Yo hugs Radim as he wins against him and says that loving is easy. The difficulty lies in accepting love. How many times have to cry and relive this? Like, it's so true. It's so true for so many people. Like, people can't accept love because they don't feel worthy. Okay, I wanna keep my composure so that, yeah. So, Faust died in his battle, but appears in spirit form and says as long as he is with his Eliza, he doesn't care about which form he is in. And the real death is that of a soul. A broken soul cannot expect peace in the next world. Yeah, that is so true. So Seiram and Red Sep try to break through the shield protecting Hao. The Mune is covered, like that place where Hao is held, like, safe, is covered by like this oversoul, and they wanted to penetrate it, or like invade it. No, what's the word? Intrude into it. And I don't know who says this, but this comes up: how we carry our souls and how we live and die. These cause our suffering. I think Hao says this. And the golem is created through Red Sep's and Seiram's mother. As long as the pilot is alive, the golem reacts. The love of a mother is an incredible power. Or was it the love Seiram had for her brother? Yeah. So, oh yeah, they were fighting Hao at that point, and they lost. They died. But Red Sep is somehow alive because his sister, like, was able to protect him. And then Red Sep gets sent back to report all this to Yo by Hao, like Hao allows it, and wants that. They are gathering, and yeah, Yo and Hao are twins. I think we already know that. I don't know if I said that in the beginning, but yeah. they are gathering the elemental spirits who are reincarnations of like parts of the Great Spirit, I guess. And then each of those 5 warriors gets one elemental spirit, you know. As long as the soul and its memories are alive, it is possible to bring people back, even Seirim. So it is possible, and it'll all work out, as Yo always says. Everyone who was killed by Hao resides in the spirit of fire, which Hao let go of since he doesn't need him anymore. And then Lyserg takes on that spirit, elemental spirit. So, also Anna says, usually the prince saves the princess from the demon, but in this story, Yo is out to save the demon itself, which is Hao. It's as though Hao is the princess, and this is so funny because then they portray him as a princess. Even 1,000 years couldn't put some sense into him, she says. Anna says, and Anna confidently asks Manta if he thinks that Yo could lose to such a person. You know, maybe Hao is also inviting them to try and stop him. Like, these were my thoughts, and I think some of the other characters. Because deep down he wants to be saved and proven wrong, that life actually is valuable, and life does exist, and love does exist for everyone. Anna also says that even in our endeavors to be happy, sometimes we become unhappy. Maybe this constant battle for happiness and looking to improve our lives is making things worse, most likely, right? Because if we just learn to live in the present, like, that should be good enough. That should be okay. So Horohoro's actual name is Horokoe. His nickname, it's a new story, was given to him by Danko, a transfer student who befriended him. She was an outcast like he was. One day his elders told him to disassociate from her because her father was there to build the dam, and in their eyes, that's disrespecting their nature, you know, or the nature. Horohoro comes from a wolf tribe. A wolf is a reincarnated god, and his loyalty to his tribe needs to be stronger. He stopped talking to her, so sad. She was upset, and one day searched for him in the snow and froze to death. But her spirit couldn't be taken because she had unfinished business, no matter how much they tried to convince her, you know, and needed to know why he wouldn't talk to her anymore. So that's what kept her alive. She was offered to become a Kororo and had to protect nature until the end of time. Her true form could come out when her master becomes his true self, and since Horohoro finally could free himself from this secret, she turned that was his spirit, you know. She finally turned into Danko. Her real name is Kurobe Tamiko again. So yeah, that was really touching, and she will continue being his spirit ally. Yeah. So, and now we'll get to the point of why, where this power of reading minds comes from. Because not only Hao had it and Anna, but also Opacho, that little kid with the squeaky voice, very cute. So the power to read minds was explained by Hao. It comes from a deep sense of loneliness. But in Anna's case, who was abandoned by her parents due to her spiritual powers, she grew lonelier and lonelier, but Yo was able to save her. Being lonely makes you wonder what others are thinking about you, whether you're hated or whatever, and eventually you can hear those thoughts. So basically I was wowed at this point, because the need for closeness and that insecurity turned into a power which came at your detriment and made you even lonelier and somehow weaker, as you cannot get close to people then. Interesting. But from the outside, people thought you were strong and had a superpower. Isn't that crazy? Yeah. And all they wanted to do probably is not have this superpower, just be normal. Yeah. So Opacho was named after Ohachio, who was a spirit friend to Hao long ago. He reminded him of Ohachio, so he gave Opacho his name, which is Opacho. So they beat Redim, the chameleon spirit ally guy, and like the patch member. So could you not play with my hairband? Okay, alright. Okay, now he's going. They love playing with my hairbands. Not Tika so much. I'm actually doing this all in one take. New seating arrangement. Okay. So, and after Redim comes Krum. Actually, Opacho helped them beat the chameleon. Yeah, spirit ally. Yeah, that's funny. Because he could read his mind and he was like, I've been trying to sleep and your thoughts are so loud. That was cute. So, maybe after this, maybe the essence of the shaman fight is actually trying to save Hao from his hatred, because he seems to be a princess trapped by a demon, you know. Anyways, a person's body can die, but a person's spirit cannot be killed. So how can we annihilate the hatred in someone's heart? The answer is to not worry about it. Ren says all this to Kron. He wants to break off the chains of hatred. Kron wanted to remain neutral until the end as an efficient, but now is using his full power and his bros oversaw the one who died. Yeah. And you can't restrain your heart until it disappears. You must release it instead. That's what Ren said, and he unleashed all of Kron's hatred and wanted to take it all in, and succeeded in defeating him. Yo also said that in the end we always have a weapon against the hatred, and that's love. Once you have a family, all hatred disappears. So like these messages are so cute. Like, so basically he wanted Kron to really feel all of that hatred so that he can be released from it, you know, and so Ren can take it all in, and so Kron would be freed from it. And as long as we have love, we will always have like the ability to fight off hatred. So after that, it's Talim who gets beaten by Joku's wind power. Talim uses all kinds of plants with different abilities, such as water storage, against fire, and ice resistance, also thunder resistance. And then, yeah, after Talim, Silva gets beaten by Yo. And before that, Silva says that as soon as we have someone to fight for, we can be freed of our own selfish goals and egos. Yeah, Silva was actually on the side of Yo, but he was like brainwashed to be a proper patch member again. So, as Yo gives the final blow to Silva, he says, like Silva says, that slight hesitation that Yo experiences is going to be his downfall, but his kindness is what makes him strong. So kindness is not a weakness. This is also a reoccurring theme in anime that I've seen. Yeah, like for Sanji, which is, you know, from One Piece, for example. Rio steps in to create a spacesuit for the Last Gate, which is in space, for all, because they have become his happy place, his family. Like, he was always about finding his happy place, and he had this whole gang thing, right? And now his friends, like Yo and the others, became his happy place. That was so cute. So Rutherford is the last efficient, and explains how we all have this longing for knowledge. But no matter how much we know, it cannot nullify the pain and suffering caused in our hearts. The person who created the shaman fight had that urge as an original goal. That was the point of it all. She also explained how this alien crash landed on Earth, and the Patch Village taught the Patch Village of its technologies until it died at 100 years old. So the Shaman King finally awakens, right? And immediately took Lip and Rap's soul, so those two guardians, And they had no fighting chance, said Golfa, and she gets taken too. Everyone gets killed one by one. Yo remains to ask why Hao must torture him like this and take everyone he loves. Everyone ends up within the Great Spirit, engulfed by Hao. Hao awakens Yo in the Great Spirit domain and asks if he will try to stop him. Yo doesn't have to put up a front anymore, but Hao and Anna were drawn to Yo because he too actually has a dislike for humans, and his grandpa said humans are like cancer cells. They keep replicating to create the same kind around them until the organism that houses them perishes, which would be Earth. Earth is our host, kind of, if you see it that way. Yo isn't one to follow the crowd and doesn't understand those who do. Hao says that Yo's loved ones will be kept away from the destruction of the planet and can live peacefully, or rather, reside within the Great Spirit. So why does Yo still want to rid the planet? Oh yeah, so why does Yo still not want to rid the planet of humankind? Even though he also believes they need to go extinct. Because that new world has no future. No family with a new child or with new children. Like, it just stagnates. It just stops. Like, there's no hope for betterment and improvement. Everyone would be dead and not happy. And so Hao wants to get rid of Yo, but can't because he and the others awaken because they are also part of the Great Spirit as elemental warriors, the 5 elementals. So as they're fighting Hao with his Great Spirit as his ally spirit, all their loved ones arrive on a train of love because they are all part of the Great Spirit, they were all engulfed by it. So, and he may have the strength, but they have love that binds them together and togetherness, and they will prevail together because love will always be stronger. Such an emotional scene. That's what I wrote. Oh, I love that. And it reminded me a lot of Undertale, Hope this is not a spoiler for anyone, but yeah, it's so touching. Okay. Like, community is everything for real. Like, a sense of belongingness and, okay. So becoming Shaman King was all Hao wanted to do, like to destroy humanity, but it isn't what he expected. He ultimately became one with everyone he despised, and that opened his heart up in such a way that he could sacrifice Opacho. Like, Opacho showed his loyalty to Hao and love to Hao by wanting to do as Hao says and be sucked into that black hole. And that Hao created. And all his minions came to show him support, to show Hao's support and love. Hao also can't read minds here anymore because he no longer has anger and sadness in his heart because he was like fused with everyone, so yeah, I guess they're always just like, he just didn't want to be lonely. That was his ultimate goal, I guess, Also, all these years, by harboring hatred, he was at the same time pushing people away, even those that cared for him. It was impossible to get to him emotionally, as he was self-sabotaging and self-fulfilling his own prophecy, like, because he felt like nobody was there for him and he was alone. He was keeping himself in that. Oh my god, sorry. Okay, wait. Okay, Snotty Crying May is gone. I'm joking, she's still here. Anyways, yeah, so all these years, yeah, like if you I lost my train of thought, but basically if that's what you expect, then that's what you're gonna continuously seek out. That nobody wants you, nobody likes you, nobody wants to hang out with you or whatever. You're gonna look for that. You're gonna look for confirmation bias, so fulfilling your own prophecy. So all these years he wanted to be reunited with his mother, That was his ultimate wish. Even if he doesn't want to admit it, becoming one with everyone was probably his actual goal, not to feel lonely anymore. Ohachio is saying all this, his friend from the past. Everyone is just showing him kindness and love, and then his mother appears. His mother slaps him and scolds him out of love, just like Anna did once. Anna also gave him a slap, and maybe that's why he liked her and needed her, because that reminded him of somebody who just like put some sense into him, like wake up, So, yeah, his mother, and that's why he felt he needed Anna as well in his life. His mother says if he wants to be a shaman king, he has to learn how to love people first. Despising others is the same as despising yourself. Love and, oh my god, it's so annoying, I know. But love, sadness, anger, you have to incorporate all these feelings. That's what being human is all about. So you can't have just the good without the bad, yeah, and I don't know, like he couldn't understand why his mother still like had love for humanity, because she was killed by people or something, How only needed his everlasting mother's love, which he gave him. To forgive others is also saving yourself, she says. How says that returning to Earth also means risking all the pain we could endure, but still decides to allow it and test the waters, see how they will plan to change the Earth. Humans only have a limited time on this planet, and he demands respect as he is the Shaman King. So the real way to save the Earth and humanity was through saving how? Because of the principle, all for one and one for all. We are all in this together. Yeah, and that's such a great philosophical take, which I stand by as well. Because I always felt like, everybody is you. Everybody is a reflection of you. You see in others what you see in yourself also. And life is a boomerang. Whatever you send out there comes back. It's like an echo. And yeah, basically treat others as you would like to be treated, or as they would like to be treated. And because in another life, in a parallel universe, whatever you want to believe, that could have been you. Your counterparts, the person opposite you, anyone could have been you. So treat them with the same amount of respect and dignity and that you would like to be treated with. Yeah, so then all comes to 7 years later, and the 5 warriors meet up again. Ren actually has a kid with Lady Jean, Yo a child with Anna, whose name is Hana Asakura. And Mantamuna narrates the end, saying everyone is doing their best and changing the world for the better in their own way, even if it won't be able to improve overnight. As long as we continuously move forward and have each other, all will be fine. And yeah, it's gonna take a long time. It's gonna take continuous efforts, but we can get there as a human race. And I'm finally finished. What's it called? Yeah, no. Summarizing everything and saying all my thoughts, and if there's more, I'll probably write it down and add it down in the description or something. Okay. This is a very long video. I'll probably make 2 parts. This will be the second part. Okay. I'm gonna, fix myself up and hope this was helpful. Bye.